I am sitting in my living room at 3 o'clock in the morning. The house is silent except for the soft breathing of two sleeping babies in their cribs beside me. In my hand, I am holding a piece of paper. It is handwritten, the ink slightly smudged in one corner as if tears had fallen on it. It is a divorce note from Amanda, my wife, the woman I thought I had saved. My hands are not shaking anymore. I am not angry. I am just empty. I keep staring at the words she wrote, but my mind keeps going back to 6 months ago when I truly believed I had pulled her out of the darkness, when I thought our family was finally healing, when I convinced myself that getting her treatment was enough. But while I was fighting to save our marriage, she was planning to destroy it. Before I take you through what happened, I would love to know. Are you watching from your living room at midnight too, or maybe during your morning commute? Drop a comment and let me know where you are tuning in from. If this story resonates with you, or if you know someone who has been through something similar, hit that like button. And subscribe, because what I learned from this nightmare might save someone else from making my mistakes. Let me take you back to where it all started, the day I thought our lives would finally be complete. Amanda and I had been married for 3 years when we decided to start trying for a baby. It took us 18 months of hoping, praying, and doctor visits before we finally saw those 2 pink lines. But the real miracle came during the ultrasound at 8 weeks. Twins. We were having twins. I will never forget the look on Amanda's face that day. Pure joy. She had been a preschool teacher before we got married, and she loved children more than anything in the world. That evening, we sat on our living room floor surrounded by baby magazines, planning everything. She wanted to paint the nursery a soft yellow color because she said it was neutral and peaceful. We bought matching onesies, tiny socks, 2 cribs that we assembled together on a Saturday afternoon while laughing about how complicated the instructions were. Amanda would place my hand on her belly every night before bed so I could feel the babies move. She said it felt like butterflies at first, then like little kicks from the tiniest soccer players. We picked out names together sitting at our kitchen table with a list we had been building for months. Emma and Lucas. Emma was my grandmother's name. Lucas was her grandfather's name. It felt right. It felt like we were honoring the people who had loved us into existence. Everything was perfect. We attended prenatal classes every Thursday evening. We read books about raising twins, about sleep schedules, about how to handle 2 babies at once. Amanda made lists. She was always making lists. What we needed to buy, what we needed to prepare, how we would split the nighttime feedings. I loved watching her plan our future. I loved seeing her so excited. Then, at 32 weeks, everything changed. It was 2 o'clock in the morning when Amanda woke me up. She was doubled over in pain, clutching her stomach. I've never driven so fast in my entire life. The hospital was 15 minutes away, but I made it in 8. They rushed her into an emergency delivery room. I sat outside alone, my hands shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone to call her mother. I heard the first cry, then the second, both weak like the sound of baby birds. The doctor came out and told me we had 2 daughters. No weight, 1 daughter and 1 son. Emma weighed 3 pounds and 8 ounces. Lucas weighed 3 pounds and 11 ounces. They were so small. When they finally let me see them through the glass of the neonatal intensive care unit, I could not believe how tiny they were. Their entire bodies were smaller than my forearm. They had tubes and wires everywhere. It broke my heart. But what broke it even more was Amanda. When she woke up from the surgery, I went to her room. I was so excited to tell her that both babies were stable, that they were fighters, that everything was going to be okay. But when I walked in, her eyes were empty. Not tired, not in pain, just empty. I said, "Amanda, do you want to see pictures of them?" The nurses took some photos. They are so beautiful. She turned her head away from me and stared at the wall. She did not say anything. I thought maybe she was exhausted. The nurse told me that it was normal for mothers who had just gone through emergency surgery to need rest. But something in my gut told me this was different. This was not rest. This was something else entirely. Over the next week, I split my time between Amanda's hospital room and the NICU. I would stay with Emma and Lucas for hours, talking to them through the incubators, putting my finger against the glass so they could see me. The doctors said they needed to hear our voices, that it helped them develop. I begged Amanda to come down with me even just for 5 minutes. The NICU was only 2 floors below her room. She could use a wheelchair. The nurses encouraged skin-to-skin contact. They said it would help the babies regulate their body temperature, help them feel safe. But every time I asked, Amanda would look at me and say, "I cannot. Do not make me." Her voice was flat, emotionless, like she was reading from a script written by someone else. On the 3rd day, I stopped asking. On the 7th day, the nurses stopped mentioning it. On the 10th day, I realized my wife had not asked about our children once. Not their weight, not their oxygen levels, not if they were going to survive. Nothing. When Amanda was discharged after 4 days, the babies had to stay in the NICU for at least 3 more weeks, maybe longer. I drove her home in complete silence. When we pulled into our driveway, she got out of the car without waiting for me and walked straight upstairs to our bedroom. I heard the door close. Then I heard the lock click. I stood at the bottom of the stairs holding her hospital bag, staring up at that closed door, and I felt more alone than I had ever felt in my entire life. For the next 3 weeks, I lived in 2 worlds. During the day, I would go to the NICU twice, once in the morning, once in the evening. I would sit between Emma and Lucas reading to them from books I had brought from home. I would sing to them. Badly, but they did not seem to mind. The nurses were kind. They taught me how to change impossibly small diapers, how to hold a bottle at just the right angle for a premature baby, how to watch for signs of distress. But the hardest part was not the hospital. The hardest part was coming home. Amanda barely left our bedroom. I would knock on the door and ask if she wanted dinner. Sometimes she would open the door just wide enough for me to hand her a plate. Other times the plate would sit outside the door for hours until I took it away untouched. She did not shower. She did not change her clothes. She did not ask about Emma and Lucas. The other parents at the NICU came in pairs. I watched them hold hands in the hallway. I watched them cry together when their babies had setbacks. I watched them celebrate together when their babies gained an ounce or came off oxygen support. I was always alone. The nurses would ask me how my wife was doing, and I did not know what to say. I would just smile and say she was recovering at home. I started Googling things late at night. Wife will not bond with newborn. Mother refuses to see premature babies. Postpartum depression symptoms. The articles I found made my stomach hurt, but I told myself it would pass. Everyone said the first few weeks were hard. Everyone said new mothers needed time to adjust. Then, in week 6, Emma and Lucas were finally strong enough to come home. I was so excited. I thought maybe seeing them in person, holding them without wires and tubes, would wake Amanda up, would bring her back to me. I prepared everything. I set up both cribs in the living room because I knew I would be sleeping down there. I bought fresh sheets. I stocked up on formula and diapers. When I brought them through the front door, I called up the stairs. "Amanda, the babies are home." I heard footsteps. She came down slowly, her hand on the railing. She looked at Emma in my right arm and Lucas in my left arm. Her face showed nothing. No joy, no sadness, no recognition. She just said, "Okay," and then turned around and went back upstairs. I stood there in the entryway of our home holding our 2 children, and I realized something terrifying. I was completely alone in this. Not just physically, emotionally, spiritually. In every way that mattered, I was a single father. That night was the longest night of my life. Both babies cried. I did not know if they were hungry, or scared, or cold, or in pain. I had taken a week off work, but I already felt like I was drowning. I would pick up Emma to feed her, and Lucas would start crying. I would put Emma down to pick up Lucas, and Emma would start crying. By 4 o'clock in the morning, I was sitting on the floor with both of them in my arms, tears running down my face. Upstairs, Amanda's door stayed closed. She did not come down once. not even when both babies were screaming at the same time. She heard it. I know she heard it. But she did not come. That was the night I realized I was not just a new father. I was a single father living with a ghost. The next 4 months were pure survival. I am not exaggerating when I say I do not remember most of it. It has blurred together into one long nightmare of diapers and bottles and crying and exhaustion so deep I felt like I was moving underwater. My days had no beginning and no end. They just rolled into each other. Emma would wake up at 3 in the morning wanting to eat. I would stumble into the kitchen, make a bottle feed her while my eyes struggled to stay open. At 4:30, Lucas would wake up. Same routine. By 6 o'clock, I would need to change both of their diapers. By 7, Amanda would come downstairs to make herself breakfast. She would walk right past the babies like they were furniture. She would take her food back upstairs without saying a word to me. At 8 o'clock, I would have a conference call for work. I'd negotiated working from home 3 days a week, but it was impossible. I would be on a video meeting with my camera off holding Emma while she spit up all over my shoulder trying to sound professional while discussing project deadlines. At 11, Amanda would come back down for lunch. Still nothing. No eye contact with the babies. No asking if I needed help. By 2 in the afternoon, I would reach the point where both babies were crying at the same time. I developed a technique where I would hold one on each arm, rocking side to side, singing the same song over and over until my voice gave out. At 5 o'clock, I would attempt bath time. Trying to bathe 2 slippery, screaming infants by yourself is like trying to juggle water. I was terrified I would drop one of them. By 8 at night, I would start the bedtime routine. This took 2 hours. 2 full hours of rocking, singing, shushing, praying they would sleep. Some nights Lucas would fight it until 10:30. Other nights Emma would. I would collapse into bed at 11, knowing I had 4 hours before it all started again. In 2 months, I lost 18 pounds. I looked in the mirror one morning and did not recognize myself. Dark circles under my eyes that looked like bruises. My hands shook when I tried to make bottles because I was so exhausted. One night I fell asleep while feeding Lucas. I woke up with a jolt of pure terror, checking to make sure he was okay. He was fine, but I was not. I started having nightmares about dropping them about, forgetting to feed them, about sleeping through their cries. My mother drove 4 hours to come stay with us for a week when Emma and Lucas were 3 months old. When she walked in the door and saw Amanda walk past the babies without even glancing at them, my mother pulled me aside. She said, "Jonathan, this is not normal. Something is very wrong." I knew she was right, but I did not know what to do about it. I felt paralyzed. I felt like if I admitted something was wrong with Amanda, I would be betraying her somehow. My friends from college would text me, "Hey man, how is fatherhood? Must be amazing." I would type back, "It is great," with an exclamation point like everything was perfect. I could not bring myself to tell the truth, that my wife had not held our children, that I was so alone. I sometimes sat on the kitchen floor at 4 in the morning and cried while both babies slept. I felt like a failure. I kept thinking, what did I do wrong? Why will she not even look at them? Did I say something during her pregnancy that hurt her? Did I not support her enough? I replayed every conversation we had ever had, looking for the moment I ruined everything. I came up empty. In month 5, my older brother Greg came to visit for a weekend. Greg had always been the straightforward one in our family. He did not dance around problems. He walked in, saw the situation, and within an hour he pulled me outside to the backyard where Amanda could not hear us. He said, "Dude, something is seriously wrong with Amanda. She needs professional help." I broke down. Right there in my backyard, I told him everything. How she had not held the baby since they came home. How she barely spoke to me. How she spent 20 hours a day in our bedroom with the door locked. How I was doing everything alone. Greg listened, and then he said something that changed everything. He said, "That sounds like severe postpartum depression, man. She needs to see a doctor, like immediately." That night after Greg left, I could not sleep. I spent hours on my phone Googling postpartum depression symptoms. Emotional numbness. Check. Inability to bond with baby. Check. Withdrawal from family. Check. Loss of interest in activities. Check. Every single symptom matched. I felt a strange mixture of relief and guilt. Relief because there was a name for what was happening. Guilt because I had let her suffer alone for 5 months without recognizing it. The next morning, I did something I should have done months earlier. I knocked on our bedroom door and waited for Amanda to answer. When she opened it, I said, "Amanda, I think you might have postpartum depression. Will you see a doctor with me?" She stared at me for a long time. Then she said, "I do not need a doctor. I am fine." I took a deep breath. "You have not held our babies in 5 months. That is not fine." She went quiet. I reached for her hand. She did not pull away. I said, "I love you. I want to help you. Please let me help you." A single tear rolled down her cheek. It was the first emotion I had seen from her since the hospital. She nodded. 1 week later, we sat in Dr. Patricia Henderson's office. Amanda barely spoke during the appointment. I answered most of the questions. Dr. Henderson listened carefully, took notes, and then delivered the diagnosis. Severe postpartum depression with depersonalization. She prescribed antidepressants and scheduled therapy sessions twice a week. She looked at both of us and said, "This is treatable, but it takes time, 6 months to a year, sometimes longer." For the first time in months, I felt hope. Real hope. I thought we were finally going to get through this. I thought I just needed to hold on a little longer and Amanda would come back to me. I was wrong. Around month 8, something shifted. Amanda started coming downstairs more often. At first, just for meals. Then she would sit in the living room while I took care of Emma and Lucas. She did not interact with them, but at least she was in the same room. I took this as progress. In month 9, she picked up Emma for the first time. She only held her for about 5 minutes before handing her back to me, but I was so happy I almost cried. By month 10, Amanda volunteered to feed Lucas one evening. She sat on the couch with him, gave him his bottle, and actually smiled when he looked up at her. I remember thinking, "We are getting her back. The medication is working. Therapy is working. We are going to be okay." In month 11, I noticed Amanda was taking more care with her appearance. She started wearing makeup again. She picked out nice clothes instead of living in sweatpants. I thought this was wonderful. I thought she was finally taking care of herself, finally emerging from the depression. I encouraged it. I told her she looked beautiful. I was so happy to see her making an effort. But there were small things that did not quite add up. She was on her phone constantly, always texting someone. When I would ask who she was talking to, she would say it was someone from her therapy support group. When I would walk into a room, she would quickly put her phone face down. She started laughing at things on her screen, then looking up and saying, "Oh, just a funny meme." In month 12, she told me she had to go to a support group meeting one evening at 7. I thought this was great. I was proud of her for taking her recovery seriously. She came home at 11 that night. Her hair was wet. She was wearing perfume I had never smelled before. When I hugged her, she pulled away quickly. I told myself I was being paranoid. She had probably showered at the gym after the meeting. The perfume was probably a sample someone gave her. I wanted so badly to believe everything was fine that I ignored every single red flag waving right in front of my face. Then came month 13. The month everything fell apart. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Amanda had gone out saying she needed to run errands. She had been gone for 3 hours. Emma and Lucas were napping. I was folding laundry in the living room when I heard a buzzing sound. Amanda's phone. She had left it on the kitchen counter. I was not trying to snoop. I was going to text her to let her know she forgot it. But when I picked up the phone, the screen lit up with notifications. Message previews that I could see without even unlocking it. "Cannot wait to see you tonight, baby." Another one. "Your husband still doesn't know." Another. "Leave him already, we can be together." I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. I could not breathe. I just stood there in my kitchen holding my wife's phone, watching message after message appear on the screen from a number that was not saved under any name. Just a phone number. My hands started shaking. My vision got blurry. I had to sit down on the floor because my legs would not hold me anymore. While I had been changing diapers at 3 in the morning, she had been texting someone else. While I had been fighting to keep our family together, she had been planning to leave it. While I had been getting her treatment, holding her hand through therapy appointments, celebrating every small step of progress, she had been having an affair. The woman I thought I was saving had been betraying me the entire time. I sat on that kitchen floor for 20 minutes, just staring at the phone. When Amanda came home, I was still sitting there. She walked in carrying shopping bags, saw me with her phone, and her face went white. She said, "Jonathan, I can explain." I stood up. I looked at her. I said, "Explain what?" That while I was changing diapers at 3 in the morning, you were with someone else. That while I was begging you to hold our babies, you were planning to leave us. That I got you treatment, held your hand through therapy, and you were cheating the entire time. She started crying. She said, "It is not what you think." I cut her off. "Then what is it, Amanda? Tell me. Make me understand how you could do this to us." What she said next, I will never forget. She said she met him at her support group. The irony was almost funny. Almost. She said he understood her, that I was always with the babies and she felt alone. I lost it. I actually raised my voice for the first time in our entire relationship. I said, "You felt alone. You felt alone." I told her everything. How I had held our family together with my bare hands while she shut down completely. How I had not slept more than 3 hours in a row for over a year. How I had fought for her, for us, for our family every single day, and this was how she repaid me. She just stood there crying, unable to say anything that would make it better, because nothing could make it better. I did not sleep that night. I could not. I sat in the nursery between Emma and Lucas's cribs watching them sleep. They were 14 months old now, starting to pull themselves up on furniture. Lucas had just learned to say, "Dada." Emma had taken her first wobbly steps the week before. They were beautiful. They were innocent. They had no idea their mother had abandoned them from the moment they were born, and now she wanted to leave them for someone else. I thought about everything. About the past year. About how I had sacrificed everything to keep our family afloat. About how I had blamed myself for months, thinking I had done something wrong. About how I had gotten her help, supported her through treatment, celebrated her recovery, all while she was lying to me. I felt a strange kind of clarity settle over me. Not rage, not even sadness anymore, just a cold, clear understanding of what I needed to do. These babies did not ask for any of this. They deserved better than a mother who could not look at them. They deserved better than a father who would teach them to accept betrayal. They deserved stability. They deserved someone who would fight for them. And that someone was me. I decided right then, sitting in that dark nursery at 4 in the morning, that I was done fighting for someone who would not fight for us. The next morning, I called Greg. He gave me the number of a family lawyer he knew. I met with her that afternoon while my mother watched Emma and Lucas. I told her everything. The lawyer, whose name was Mrs. Campbell, listened carefully and took detailed notes. When I finished, she said, "You have a very strong case for full custody." She explained that Amanda's complete abandonment of the children for over a year, combined with documented evidence of the affair, would work heavily in my favor. I told her I did not want to hurt Amanda. I just wanted to protect my children. Mrs. Campbell nodded and said, "I understand, but you need to document everything. Save those text messages if you can. Take photos of you as the primary caregiver. Get statements from your family members who witnessed the situation. Medical records showing you were the only parent at doctor appointments." I started building the case that day. That evening I told Amanda I had filed for divorce. She was sitting at the kitchen table. I sat down across from her and said, "I have filed for divorce. You will receive the papers next week. I am asking for full custody. The kids need stability." She looked up at me with red eyes. She said, "You cannot do this." I said, "I already did. You abandoned them, Amanda, legally and emotionally. You can see them with supervised visitation once you are actually stable, but I will not let you hurt them more than you already have." She broke down completely. She begged me to reconsider. She said she would end the affair. She said she would try harder with the kids. But I had heard enough promises. I had believed enough lies. I told her I was sorry, but my decision was final. The children came first. They had always come first. They were the only thing that mattered now. For the next week, Amanda stayed in our bedroom. I took care of Emma and Lucas like I had been doing for 13 months. I worked, I fed them, I played with them, I put them to bed. It was the same routine I'd been living, except now I was not lying to myself anymore about why I was doing it alone. Then, one afternoon, I came home from the grocery store with both kids. I'd taken them with me because I did not want to leave them alone with Amanda. When I walked in the door, I saw a white envelope on the kitchen table. My name was written on it in Amanda's handwriting. My stomach dropped. I put Emma and Lucas in their playpen with some toys and picked up the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a letter, handwritten, 2 pages. I forced myself to read every word. She wrote that I was right, that she did not deserve to be their mother, that she had tried, but she could not do it, that when she looked at them, she felt nothing. The affair did not matter, she wrote. It was not about him. It was about her running away from everything. She had signed the divorce papers. She was leaving them to me. She said they would be better off without her. She apologized for making me go through everything alone. Then she was gone. I stood in my kitchen holding that letter for a long time. I did not cry. I did not feel angry. I just felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. Sadness for her, for whatever was broken inside her that she could not fix. Sadness for Emma and Lucas, who would grow up without a mother. But also relief. Relief that I did not have to fight anymore. Relief that I could finally move forward. Relief that my children would not have to experience a mother who came and went, who rejected them over and over again. I walked over to the playpen. Emma and Lucas were playing with blocks, giggling as they knocked down the towers I had built for them that morning. They were 14 months old. They did not know what they had lost because they had never really had it. I picked them both up, one in each arm, and I said, "It is just us now, and that is enough. We are going to be okay." That night, as I rocked both of them to sleep, something I had done 1,000 times before, I realized something. I was not alone anymore. I had us. I had Emma and Lucas. I had my family. It looked different than I had planned, but it was mine. And it was enough. The first 3 months after Amanda left were strange. Not harder exactly, just different. I did not have to pretend anymore. I did not have to hope she would come downstairs and help me. I did not have to make excuses to people about why she was not around. I could just be honest. I was a single dad. This was my life. And slowly that honesty brought more help than I had ever had before. Greg came to stay with me for 2 weeks. He took vacation time from his job and just showed up at my door with 2 suitcases. He slept on my couch and helped with the night feedings. My mother, who had been living 4 hours away, decided to move closer. She found an apartment 20 minutes from my house and started coming over 3 days a week to help with Emma and Lucas while I worked. For the first time in over a year, I was not doing everything alone. I hired a babysitter named Sarah, a college student studying early childhood education, to come 4 afternoons a week. This meant I could actually focus on my work during the day instead of trying to type emails while holding a crying baby. It meant I could take a shower without worrying that no one was watching the kids. It meant I could breathe. Emma and Lucas started thriving in ways I had not expected. Lucas said his first real sentence at 16 months, "Dada, I love you." Emma took her first independent steps across the living room and fell into my arms laughing. I was there for all of it, every milestone, every moment. And instead of feeling sad that Amanda was not there to see it, I felt grateful. Grateful that I got to be the one. Grateful that these moments were not tainted by her absence because they had never known anything different. I started going to therapy myself. A therapist named Dr. Morris who specialized in single parents and trauma. She helped me understand that I had not failed, that I had done everything I possibly could have done. That postpartum depression was a real illness, but having an affair was a choice. That I could not save someone who did not want to be saved. Slowly, the guilt I had been carrying started to lift. Dr. Morris also helped me process my anger, because I was angry even though I had not wanted to admit it. Angry that Amanda had missed the first year of our children's lives. Angry that she had made me feel like I was failing when I was actually holding everything together. Angry that she had betrayed me when I was at my most vulnerable. But Dr. Morris taught me that anger was okay as long as I did not let it consume me. That I could be angry at what happened and still move forward. Around month 6 after the divorce, something shifted in me. I woke up one morning and for the first time in almost 2 years, I did not feel heavy. Emma and Lucas were sleeping in. It was 6:30 in the morning instead of 4. I made myself coffee. I sat on my back porch and watched the sun come up. I thought about where I had been a year ago. Drowning. Desperate. Alone. And then I thought about where I was now. Stable. Supported. Whole. My life was not what I had planned. I had imagined Amanda and I raising these babies together. I had imagined family vacations and birthday parties with both parents. I had imagined teaching Emma and Lucas that love meant partnership and commitment. Instead, I was teaching them something different. I was teaching them that love meant showing up. That family was not about who was there at the beginning, but who stayed, who fought, who chose them every single day. One evening when Emma and Lucas were 20 months old, I was sitting on the couch with both of them. We had just finished dinner. They were in their pajamas, clean and fed and happy. Emma was on my left side, Lucas on my right. They were both falling asleep against me while we watched a cartoon about talking animals. I looked around the living room. There were toys everywhere. Sippy cups on the coffee table. A pile of clean laundry I needed to fold. Pictures on the wall of the 3 of us at the park at the zoo at home. There were no pictures of Amanda. I had taken them all down months ago. Not out of anger, but because they did not represent our reality anymore. Our reality was this. Me and Emma and Lucas. This was my family. And in that moment, holding both of my sleeping children, I realized something profound. I was not missing anything. We were complete exactly as we were. I heard through Greg that Amanda was living in another state now. She had not contacted me since she left. No child support. No phone calls to check on the kids. No birthday cards. Nothing. At first, this had hurt. I'd wondered if she ever thought about them. If she regretted leaving. If she would come back. But as time went on, I stopped wondering. Because Emma and Lucas did not need a mother who would disappear and reappear based on her own stability. They needed consistency. They needed someone who would be there no matter what. And that was me. I thought about what I would tell them when they were old enough to ask about their mother. I would tell them the truth. That she loved them, but she was sick. That sometimes people are too broken to be parents, and that is not the child's fault. That they were wanted and cherished and fought for every single day of their lives. That family is not about biology. It is about choice. And I chose them. Every day. I would always choose them. When I put Emma and Lucas to bed that night, I sang them the same song I had been singing since they came home from the hospital. Lucas fell asleep first. Emma fought it a little longer, her tiny hand wrapped around my finger. When her eyes finally closed, I stood there for a moment looking at both of them. They were almost 2 years old now, growing so fast, learning new words every day, starting to develop their own personalities. Emma was cautious and thoughtful. Lucas was fearless and silly. I thought about everything I had been through to get to this moment. The sleepless nights, the overwhelming fear, the betrayal, the divorce, the slow, painful process of rebuilding, and I realized that all of it had been worth it, because it had led me here, to this life, this family, this love. I had learned something crucial in the past 2 years. Love is not just a feeling. It is a choice you make every single day. I had chosen Amanda every day for over a year, even when it destroyed me. She had chosen someone else. You cannot love someone into staying. You cannot sacrifice them into loving you back. And you cannot keep fighting for someone who refuses to fight with you. I'd also learned that keeping my family together meant something different than I thought it would. I thought it meant keeping Amanda no matter what. But it actually meant protecting Emma and Lucas. It meant creating a home where they felt safe and wanted. It meant showing them that they deserved people who showed up for them. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let go of someone who is hurting you, even if you love them. Being a single dad was never my plan, but it became my purpose. Emma and Lucas taught me that family is not about who is there at the beginning. It is about who stays, who shows up at 3 in the morning, who chooses you every single day. And I chose them. I would always choose them. Healing has not been about forgetting what happened or forgiving everything. It has been about accepting it and choosing to move forward anyway. It has been about looking at my children and realizing they are the reason I survived. They are the reason I kept going when I wanted to give up. They are my family, my home, my purpose. Today, Emma and Lucas are 3 years old. They call me Daddy. They do not ask about Mommy anymore. Sometimes I wonder if I should have fought harder to make Amanda stay. Then Lucas grabs my hand and says, "I love you, Dada." And Emma climbs into my lap for a hug, and I remember something important. I did fight. I fought for the family that mattered. I fought for Emma and Lucas. I fought for their future, their stability, their happiness. And we won. We survived. We are thriving. And that is enough. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to make the impossible choice between holding on and letting go? Have you ever fought for someone who would not fight for you? Leave a comment below and share your story. And if this resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about survival healing and finding strength you did not know you had. Share this with someone who needs to hear that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there who is going through their own battle. Remember, family is about who stays, who shows up, who chooses you. Choose wisely, and never stop fighting for the people who truly matter. Take care of yourselves out there.